I've been very lucky to be spared some of the complexities, especially those relating to transnational teaching. I have colleagues who are coordinating units on the home campus in Singapore and in Dubai, and they're increasingly frustrated, worn out by the various demands that are being placed on them. Perhaps the way that I would handle those sorts of situations, if I found myself placed in them, is that I would try to be proactive about what was happening offshore. I'll take that as a very specific example. Now, one of my colleagues was ruefully saying that there are but 5 students in the offshore version in Dubai of his particular unit, and he was having to send all these materials across to the local tutor, who was actually giving formal stand-up lectures to these 5 students, as my colleague would be doing to the 300-odd students on the home campus who were doing the same unit. One of the great advantages of a lecture is exactly being able to deal with a large number of students for one person in one session. It's not a bright idea for 5 students, and perhaps the correct strategy for the overseas students in that context would have been saying to the overseas tutor, forget it, don't lecture, it's hard on you, it's not particularly helpful for the students. Why, instead of 3 lectures a week, why don't you just meet with the students for one session, 1.5, 2 hours, and talk about and work through the materials with them on the basis of their own reading. So try and think about being proactive about ways things might be handled in some of these new teaching scenarios that take the load off you, to send a whole bunch of lectures already prepared someplace else, take the load off the person at the other end, have more sensible teaching styles, while still of course working over the same material to the same standard and to similar assessments. So stopping, pausing, thinking about those kinds of things are actually quite important. And also, I think, being very, very frank with school deans, heads of department or whoever about the work that is involved in certain areas. It's a very, very common statement in the educational literature from people who have developed new teaching techniques or new teaching technologies that they invest huge amounts of time in these. They don't get a lot of recognition and reward. So perhaps the issue there is keep records of your time. Put that in to your superiors. Make it clear to them what you might do if you weren't committed in that way. If it is causing difficulties with other aspects of your duties, say so. Because you are telling me to prioritise this, I am having to cut corners here. And I don't think that's very helpful. And the main operation is where you're telling me to cut corners. So feeding that sort of information back can also be helpful. So be proactive, take charge of teaching techniques and circumstances if you can, so that they are less demanding while equally effective, but also make it very, very clear to those at the top what it's actually costing in terms of time, lost opportunity elsewhere to carry out diverse extra duties if they're pushed onto you.